on what is today? February the 26th,
26. Oh man.
2024. How did it get here so fast? But those watching this may be in who knows what year in the future. So yes, so this is ancient history for us. 2024 is seems pretty far up there, but nevertheless, but I appreciate anybody tuning in today. I'll introduce our guest first today. That is Miss Radie Cannady, and she has been at the comptroller's office for how many?
46.
46. Jeez. Oh my God. Okay. So
Yeah.
as everyone can see, I'm not super well prepared for today's interview, but that's fine. We're just going to have fun chatting and everything. But oh my, yeah. So 46 years. And by the way, I'm Vince Sellers. I work in IT. I'm somewhat of a history nerd and a technology nerd. So this is where that intersection meets. And the purpose of this is to talk to Radie and see what what was life like in the comptroller's office, a while back and during her extensive 46-year career. And so that, the folks in the future can look back and say, hey, this is kind of how it was. It's a nice opportunity to have a conversation and a snapshot. So yes. Yeah. Again, it's not a Snapchat, but we'll do a snapshot. But yes. So anyway, so I guess I have a list of questions that I'm going to kind of go through, Radie, and we'll just chat about them. And so I'll start it off. So let's hit the rewind button quite a bit. So before we get into the comptroller stuff, that's interesting, but I'm actually as equally interested just in life in general and kind of your life story and everything. How you wound up where you are today. And so I guess I'll start with where did you grow up?
I grew up in San Antonio, and my dad worked for Missouri Pacific Railroad. You ever heard of them?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he worked for Missouri Pacific Railroad, and the railroad moved him to Austin. And so my mom decided that she would move all 6 of us to Austin too. And then once we got here, bought a house and was in school a couple of years, then my dad got moved back to San Antonio. Mm-hmm. And they went back and I stayed in Austin. I loved Austin.
Oh, yes. Wonderful. Wow, that's interesting background. And I also have an extreme interest in railroads, so I won't.
Oh, really?
Here in the railroad interview, but maybe that's a separate one. But yes, I'm very interested in that railroad history. I even have in another room a poster from it's actually Pacific Northwest Railroads that was in a lobby of an old train station in Washington State somewhere. Which anyway. So But enough about that. This is about you, not Vince Sellers' interest. Okay. But it is a fascinating. That's a nice background though, and your father's employment with the railroad is very interesting. Yeah. Okay, well, so you enjoyed growing up in Austin, right. Yeah. So, and I'm jumping around a little bit. I have a series of questions, but let's talk a little bit about that. So, I guess things have changed just a little bit since you first moved here.
Oh, a whole lot. Tremendously. Yes.
Oh,
yeah, Austin has grown so much.
So it was probably, was it like 100,000 maybe when you moved here, or in that range or something, population?
Yeah, maybe so, but now it's like where I live now, I'm in Round Rock. This was, you really went out of town when you came to Round Rock. Back then, it was the country.
Oh no, for sure. Wow, that's interesting. And so that was definitely wow, that was pre I-35. Was I-35 even built out yet through Austin?
I-35. I-35 was there, but the upper ramp was not.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, when the upper ramp got built, my dad was back in San Antonio, but we were living here, and he came driving in, and he got caught. We lived off an airport, and he got caught on the upper ramp and had to go all the way down because we were off at 38th and a half, and he had to go all the way down to the airport and turn around to figure out. It was like, what is this? What happened? Yeah, but I do remember when the upper ramp opened. Yeah.
That's great. Wow. Wow. Well, so you've seen things come and go for sure, including, yeah, I guess like the Irwin Center, the
Oh,
former Irwin
yeah.
Center where UT played. I'm sure back in the day that was the big new facility and all the big bands are coming playing there. And
Oh,
now, like
yeah.
today's the Moody Center as of 2024. It's just been open a couple of years. And so, same kind of thing, I guess, excitement. And that's where the basketball is and big bands coming through. And anyway, so
And then
yeah.
all the stores that have closed over the years and stuff, because like Congress Avenue used to be big shopping, and it's like all of that went away.
Yeah, yeah, everything moved out to the burbs and such. So I guess,
Yeah.
wow, wow, that's interesting. And so I'm sure the Capitol complex looks entirely different than when you started. So I guess we'll get into that. So what year did you start at the comptrollers?
In fact, it was February of 78.
Wow, February 78.
Yeah. So I'm
Right.
leaving February 78. I mean, 24.
Yes, yes, yeah. Another February to February. Wow.
Mhm.
God, that is nuts. So, could you have envisioned that you would be working for CPA? That I mean, from until 2024 at that point in time. I mean, I'm sure that seemed like so far. You know.
Oh no. I could not have, I never would have thought I'd stay this long,
Oh,
but here I am.
yeah. That sneaks up on you too. I'm sure to some degree. So,
Now those years just keep rolling and rolling, and then it's
yeah.
like, oh man, another year, another year. I get another certificate. I get a 5-year certificate, 10-year, 15. Oh man.
Indeed. Wow, that is something. So, all right. So when you started in '78, who was the comptroller at that time?
It was Bob Bullock.
It was Bullock. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
you experienced the infamous Bob
Oh
Bullock, who now
yeah.
most people watching this are probably like, oh, the museum guy. Like, no, no, comptroller. But yeah.
Mr.
So
Bullock.
wow. Okay. So I want to get into that. So, but setting the stage again, I like times and locations so much. So, at that point, the LBJ building was probably pretty darn new. And did you start at the LBJ building
No,
then?
I
Or
didn't
when did you
start at
start?
the LBJ building. We were on 6th Street at 6th and Colorado
Hmm.
at the downtown office building. We even had covered parking there, and we had bright yellow, blue, green, and orange desk. And
Oh,
it was very open area. People smoked in the office.
things have changed.
Yeah.
For the better. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't imagine that, but
But we had these
wow.
different color desks and different color file cabinets and blue and yellow and green and orange chairs.
Wow. Wow.
But
I
it
can,
was so exciting. I worked for the controller's
uh,
office.
I'm sure that was big time back then. I mean,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, when you worked for the state, you were big time.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
was
absolutely.
exciting.
That is so.
Even for my mom was like, my daughter works for the controller's office.
Yes, yeah, formal, or important official, the official
Right.
Texas business. Like
Mr.
yeah.
Bullock.
Oh yeah, and he certainly brought it to the forefront of the media. I mean, I'm young enough. I was in school at least by then, but not too far along at that point. But
First
uh, but
grade.
but I have some faint memories of and then obviously working here just understood how prominently the office, just the reputation and the visibility, at least that's my understanding, is it changed and went from kind of a probably many years of traditional comptrollers who kind of they did their job and out of sight, out of mind. And then Bullock was like a bull in a china shop, as I think I've heard it described as like, oh, we're gonna do things a little different. And there's a new sheriff in town. I guess that's how.
Oh Lord,
So
yes.
is that pretty consistent with how it was? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What was that like?
Well, in our office, I was started out in a group called Out of State Audit Office downtown, and I would do the auditors would travel like 2 weeks at a time. So I was the admin, and I do all their travel. I make their deposits. And
Okay.
then because we didn't have direct deposit, so their checks would come in and I would go and make them for them. And they would travel, I'd rent them cars and stuff, and they go for 2 weeks and come back. Then later in 1980, they opened the out-of-state offices in Chicago, Atlanta. You heard of those?
Oh, yeah, but I knew. Well,
California.
actually, I wasn't familiar. We had those. I know today we have New York and California, right? Do we?
Yeah,
Uh,
we
yeah.
had New
Also,
York, Chicago, Anaheim, California, Oklahoma. It was 5 offices. And
wow.
originally I applied to go to California.
Mhm.
I'm glad I didn't because it was so expensive.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then the girl that was supposed to be the admin for the Chicago office quit right before they were opening the office. So then they asked me if I would switch and go to Chicago.
Oh,
So I was like, sure. I'd never been anywhere. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go. So it was 10 of us from Texas that moved to Chicago and
wow,
opened up the Chicago audit office.
wow.
And at least 8 of us bought brand new guns to take to Chicago.
Got to protect yourself. Wow.
That was so funny.
Oh my, yeah. Wow, that's fascinating though. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
did not know that. Wow. Um, wow, wow, some history that is then. Wow. So and you guys then you basically opened the office, you said then you were the
Yeah,
first.
we opened the office and started the office up, and that way the auditors were there. Like they would go to the Sears Tower to do audits, but they didn't have to travel anymore. The
Okay.
auditors were on per diem
Okay.
while they were there, but my position as the admin substantiated the office, I guess. So I was on salary, but it was kind of like I was the only female with 9 guys. So it was like I had 9 brothers because they would take care of me and we'd go out and eat and we just had a blast. I loved Chicago.
Wow, what a great life experience. And yeah, you don't think of going to work for the state of Texas as being your opening to go see other parts of the world and live other place, like I think you got to join the
Right.
military to do that. Like, I don't know, you can join the comptroller's office and do
Yeah, and
things.
people would come by and they would be like, why is Texas in Chicago? And they would
Yes.
ask us and we'd have to explain. And then it was so funny, the first snow, it was like it was snowing. And so we called down here and we were like, it's snowing. We got to leave. We got to go home. And the people in the building, like, they were like, where are y'all going? Why are you leaving? We're like, it's snowing. We have to go.
Yeah.
They were like, this was just snow flurries.
Just laughing at you. Wow.
Yeah. And then when it really did snow, we had, like, the guys had their leather cowboy boots. We were not prepared. I had little knit gloves that somebody had given me as a going away present and my little Texas coat. And that first snow, we were like, and we'd have to ride the subway, the L train to the office,
Oh,
and then
sure.
walk 2 blocks to the office. And
Wow.
so one of the guys that was in the building with us, he told us, I'm taking all of y'all shopping. And he took about 4 or 5 of us
Mhm.
to Marshall Fields in Chicago and showed us what we needed to buy. A Downsfield coat, snow boots, even gloves.
Oh my.
We
Let's get
didn't
fully
know.
authentic. Yeah, yep. You don't know what you don't know, but wow. Well, that's amazing. I didn't know. And getting to ride the L, I mean, what a total contrast and difference of coming from Austin, Texas to Chicago, Illinois, and riding the public transportation and of
Oh,
the
yes,
that exciting. I mean, I'm sure that was just like so exciting.
it was.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
never experiencing that, especially like the snow and stuff. It was like, oh
Oh.
my God.
Yes, it sounds exciting, but sometimes those, adventures also make you appreciate what you have, which sometimes is no snow. And like, okay, it's not so bad without any snow.
Right.
So how long then did you help out and work up in the
I
Chicago area?
stayed there for 4 years.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's a good stint right there. So
4 years. We were downtown Chicago on Wacker Drive, and then they moved out to the suburbs.
uh,
And then I ended up getting married. My husband's from Chicago, but he hated Chicago and swore he'd never live there again. But he
yeah.
came up, we got married up there.
Wow.
And the one snow where it was 63 below zero, that was my last snow. I
Yes.
came back to Texas.
Yes. So below zero. Oh my God. Yeah.
Below.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That'd be enough, I think, to break anybody. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so now back to Texas. But
So
wow.
I applied and I was trying to come home. And when I came back to tax assistance, back
Mhm.
to the downtown office building. And I was in
Okay.
the tax assistance section where
Okay.
we took calls on different taxes. I had sales tax, franchise, and hotel tax.
Okay.
And
All
so
right.
that was interesting and fun.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So quite a change of scenery then coming back down then. So yeah. So it sounds like so you're relieved to make it back, even though you enjoyed the experience, but also
I enjoyed it.
getting back
Yeah.
home. So yeah. Oh, and by the way, just quick aside with the Chicago, do you still kind of have it in your DNA a little bit after living there? Like you pull for the Bears or the Cubs or White Sox or any of the Bulls, any of that? Or you're like, nah, I'm
No,
back.
we won some tickets to a baseball game, and that was the most boringest thing I ever went to. And but again, I was the only female with 9 guys, and I went to the baseball game, and I was like, and I
Yeah.
was young too, so.
Oh, sure. So after 4 hours, like, okay, that's it. Okay.
That's it. Let's go.
But you got to experience it though, right? I mean, that's all
Yes.
about life. I have to wonder if like, did I miss out? And I'm not living in a town with Major League Baseball. Like now, like, no,
Yeah,
I'm good.
no, it wasn't that great for me.
Yes. No, but that's great. Again, but I'm sure just life experiences you look back so fondly on. Like, you go
Right.
around once, so make the most of it. So that's fantastic. So okay, so back in Austin and hotel and sales and franchise. Obviously, sales and franchise. I guess some things never change. Still lots of
Yeah.
people taking calls and trying to answer questions and help people with their sales and franchise. Same there. So okay, so I guess continue kind of your journey at CPA, and then eventually you make it to the LBJ building, maybe, and then at some point IT.
When we were in tax assistance, we did correspondence. I ended up being on a team that did correspondence as well. So we would take calls and then we do correspondence. And back to Mr. Bullock, when we were in tax assistance and we had the open concept, they would tell us, Mr. Bullock is going to be on the floor. You got to be busy. Make sure you're busy. So you had to clean off your desk. You had to clean everything off your desk and make sure your head was down when he came on the floor.
Don't look up. Don't look up. You're too busy to exchange pleasantries, right?
Yeah, so it's like you would keep your head down and really be working hard.
Yes. Unbelievable.
Yeah, they would say, he's coming on. They would always announce that he was coming up to the floor.
Okay.
And he'd walk through, and I was saying about the file cabinets, we had these different color file cabinets, and we put all the correspondence in and everything. And so he came on the floor, and it just so happened he opened one of the file cabinets. And in that file cabinet, even though it was full with work stuff, at the very bottom, it had a ceramic frog that somebody had stuck. So because they had the ceramic frog in that file cabinet, he made us get rid of file cabinets. So many file cabinets. since that's what we were storing away.
Oh my. So it sounds right up there with being. I mean, and I didn't serve in the military. My thanks to anybody watching that did. It sounds like something out of a boot camp, and you're in the U.S. Marines, and the drill sergeant comes in and brush the toilet with the toothbrush, all that stuff. Inspection and what's this doing in here, like, just to make a point, not that there's anything wrong, but you're gonna find something. It doesn't matter how perfect, how busy, how everything's done, they're gonna find something and then make everybody kind of feel bad, or for like having a ceramic frog stored in the bottom drawer of a file cabinet. Well, you're gonna get rid of all the fire, unbelievable.
We ended up bringing them back, but at first we had to get rid of all of them. But that was funny. That was one of the funniest stories.
That is amazing. Yep, that is amazing. Wow. Well, I guess the legend continues of Mr. Bullock. But yeah, well, you can't accuse him of just sitting back in his office and just collecting a check for being the comptroller. I mean, he certainly stirs.
He did good I think, for integrating the office and bringing people in. He promoted several people, like this one guy. I think he worked in the warehouse, and he says, I can make anybody can be a manager. That one over there can be a manager. And he made him a manager.
Prove his point. And you know what? I bet he was right, though, too, to be fair.
Yeah, it worked out. It really worked out. So.
Yep. Wow. What an experience. But yeah, it sounds kind of miserable, but occasionally, and as a taxpayer, you hope that people are trying to, do things a different way and a better way, and all that stuff. So certainly a lot of that, but also sometimes I think the delivery, it sounds painful as well, just quite frankly.
Yeah.
So doesn't sound like a fun place to work, but it sounds like the taxpayers were getting their money's worth out of the guy.
Yeah. So he had the Bullock Raiders. You ever heard of the Bullock
Raiders?
Raiders?
Bullock Raiders, yes.
They would go out and shut down businesses and put the lock on the door. Yes,
that's the image I have when I think of Bullock. That's the first thing, the Raiders, pops into my brain of famously locking up businesses and just had the whole business, I'm sure small businesses especially, on notice, and like, oh no,
right.
Watching out, you pay your darn taxes, stay up with everything, file everything you got to do, because if you don't, your business is going to get locked up. So
that's the truth. That he was like that. Then we went from, remember I said we had correspondence. So they took the correspondence group, and that's when I moved to the LBJ building.
Okay.
To account maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
And so they moved us over there, and we did correspondence at that over there. And they kind of changed our name. I forgot what it was. Mm-hmm. But we just started always just doing correspondence and answering letters and.
Sure. Yeah, because everything was paper, right?
Everything was paper, file cabinets, paper everywhere.
Yep.
And had a 5 high on your desk with paper.
Yeah, just cranking through. I'm sure you had questions and all kinds of stuff, and then the correspondence. I assume you sometimes just have to write a letter back or help people, and just like a lot of back and forth and manual paper efforts and all that stuff. Wow.
Paper logs. We logged everything. You had to log it in and check it out.
Wow.
Man, when we went to email and stuff, it was like, oh, that is so wonderful.
The future is here. Oh, I bet that was very impactful right off the bat, I would suspect. So
right.
Interesting. So tell me a little bit, and since this, we're both IT folks here, tell me a little bit about the technology stuff. So I guess in '78, you're doing your job. Everything's pretty much paper except for analog phone, old school phone lines, ring. Everything else is memos and typewriters and all of that. So I guess we
had computers, but we just didn't do as much as we could do now. And then there were two, like we had the legacy system and then the It's like sales tax was in one system and you had to go to another one for hotel for the other taxes. And
Sure.
so
Wow.
when we did the integrated tax system,
Mhm.
I got loaned from account maintenance to IT to do the integrated tax system
Mhm.
and to work on that. And that was fun when we put franchise into ITS. And
Sure.
so that's
Wow.
how I got into IT. First, I
Okay.
was loaned just to test.
Yes. Yes.
And then I was like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back and do correspondence.
Yes. No, that's great. Yeah, I think that's a common journey. I think, and same for me personally. My old company, same thing basically happened. I was doing
Mhm.
manufacturing plant stuff, and they needed some help on this. As a user, like to configure a system, and next thing you
Yeah.
know, I'm testing, and they're like, "Yeah, well, you're pretty good. You want to do some, So next thing you know, like, so long, everybody. I'm becoming a techie nerd, joining IT. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good way to go. But you know what? Yeah, you have that business background, and that's why even my limited time, and I've just been here 15 plus years, but working with you and some of the other folks, that there's
Right.
no substituting understanding, have a deep understanding of sales tax, franchise tax, and even where we've come and gone from the technology journey, from like the ITS, which as of today, that's our workhorse tax system that we are still fully invested in and continue to expand. And sure, we have front ends and web stuff, and
Yeah.
our modern WAMO project, we call it, e-systems. People log in to pay their taxes. Guess what? Behind the scenes, it's still using that same workhorse of a mainframe and integrated tax system that you and as being a
Yes.
user in IT built that foundation, and we are still running on that foundation. And guess what? That foundation has worked very well, from
Yeah.
my perspective, and that's why it's one thing. It's easy to say, oh, we should modernize, but you have to ask why. All those things. Not to turn this into a boring technology modernization interview. I just want to comment, like, it's with respect and admiration for you and the other folks that were there
Right.
long before I was, or anybody, or not anybody, but most of the IT folks. Easy to say, like, oh, why are we still using mainframe? Well, it works very well. And guess what? Lots of banks and in the industry, yeah, it's a workhorse, and it was designed with care and to do a job, and it does it very well. So anyway, it's interesting. Like, hey, it's built
Yeah.
well. It's no different than like a good solid bridge that just keeps working. It was well designed,
Right.
well built. They had the right concrete mixture and the rebar, and it serves its purpose. And at some point, maybe you need to add some lanes or something. Eventually, you need to upgrade it. But sometimes, the bridge, Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, I don't know, whatever was built in the 1930s, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not going anywhere. It's anyway. Sometimes in technology, we get so caught up in the flavor of sometimes the flavor of the year or the month or even the decade. But you got to
Well,
pause and say,
speaking of that, we were putting sales tax into ITS.
yep.
And then we tried to do sales tax applications in the Power Builder application. And that almost put the agency in chaos because
Oh,
when we tried to go to Power Builder, and we were during that time, I was training, I had to go out. I was still in IT, but I was doing the training for people for the Power Builder application. But the Power Builder application versus the mainframe application, it was taking 7 to 10 minutes to do an application in Power Builder, whereas on mainframe, they were doing it in 2 to 3 minutes.
oh my.
And so we had to do management. Wayne Acreage, Debbie Ellis, they were over account maintenance. And then we had to meet with management and show them, like, I was doing it in Power Builder, and this person over here was doing the same application in ITS and showing the difference in the timing. And so after we had spent all this money building Power Builder and doing all this training, it got thrown out because it just didn't work.
Mm.
It wasn't, as effective as the mainframe system.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, again, newer isn't always better, and it's all about how you build it and design it and niche. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a painful technology failure. Yeah, funny enough, even as long as I've been here, I don't know if I've heard directly about that one. I may have heard a whisper here or there, but yeah, I wasn't aware of all that. So that is a very interesting that is an interesting history, and yeah, we've seen struggles to modernize, and that's a perfect example. But wow, interesting. Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay,
let's
so
see. I
good.
got there through testing, and then
Yeah.
we started I don't know when we started the BA group, the business
Mhm.
analyst group, when they separated us.
Mhm.
I think it was before Darren. So Darren's been there like 15 years, like you, 16 years.
Yes. So
Probably.
around the time maybe, so you had Bullock and then what? I don't know, then John Sharp, right? And
John
Strayhorn
Sharp, then Susan, no, Strahan,
or Strahan, yeah, Strayhorn. So yeah, and then Miss Combs.
Combs.
And that's when I came in as Combs administration.
Yeah.
And then obviously Comptroller Hager. So okay, so then maybe around that time, probably new administration and stuff. I bet that lots of reorganization. I know IT and much of the agency was in a bit of a state of upheaval. I guess not pointing fingers. I'm just kind of calling it from what my recollection of when I started anyway was lots of change being brought in with the Ms. Combs administration. But sounds like within IT, then some reorganization and a dedicated business analyst role then, and that's more when I came in. And you were a BA, I think, when I
Yeah.
started. Okay.
When Jay Waldo's when they came in, so they came in with Combs,
Mhm.
and they had the processing group. And so they just came in and they were going to the divisions and going through their processes. And then people were getting called into a conference room and saying that
Your services are not value added and no longer required, but
yeah,
thank you.
so that was a very nerve-wracking, that was
Yes.
kind of a scary time in the
Yes.
agency.
Oh, I'm sure. And yeah, and so yeah, I'm sure the business areas weren't thrilled when these guys process analysts and some of the I was one of those hired to do that to come in and do that. Although fortunately I was more dedicated to some our purchasing area projects and those things, but didn't have to be quite the bad cop. But we definitely had some folks that had to be the bad cop and come in and
Yeah, it was scary. It
yes,
was scary
yes.
for a lot of us.
Yeah, wow, what a time. What a time in IT. So you're part of that. I guess any organization, has its
Right.
ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and and there's pros and cons with anything. There's certainly something to be said for like, hey, yeah, again, even with Bullock, like he did some good, of course. I mean, he put his stamp on there, really put it in the forefront. Probably taxpayers got a lot more revenue ultimately because of his actions versus if nothing was done. I would suspect, compliance and all that probably went up, and same for different administrations coming in and putting their stamp on things and reorganizing and some upheaval, maybe some fats
Yeah.
trimmed, so to speak, here and there. But also, again, it just goes to importance, and this is true.
Yeah, with the new administration.
Yeah, yeah, but it didn't make it easier working with some areas as well, though that trust. So I know, we've tried to build that back in IT, and since I've been here, like, hey, IT's here to actually help. We're not going to interview you and then say, yeah, we don't need you. That's not what we're doing. But if we can do something to help free up, and the truth is, I mean, my opinion, we've got more than enough to do. The state's grown so
Oh,
much,
Lord,
so
yes.
many backlogs, and if we could avoid growing a bunch of headcount and get more, bang for the buck for taxpayers, great. But we don't have enough people So if we can do things smarter, and that's, I think, on the projects and things you worked on in recent years, I would think it helped us do that. But hopefully we're partnering with the business areas versus combating them.
Yeah.
But
They called it back then cleaning the dead wood.
okay.
Cleaning out the dead wood. That's what it was.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, very popular with the business areas, I'm sure. Wow, that is interesting. Wow.
So when I did that, then when I became a BA and Roger Bailey, I was under Roger for a while, and then I think Darren came in, and that's back when they gave us a little bitty bonus.
Oh yeah.
And so I retired at 30.
Hmm.
And then but they posted my job, and so I hadn't done an application because I was at the controller's office. I never did another application.
Sure.
And then they posted my job, and on the very last day of the posting, I'm like, I can't live on this retirement check, because it wasn't that. They took out insurance and everything.
Yeah.
And so I applied, and I had to interview with Jay and Darren again.
Mhm.
And then I got rehired and came back, and I never thought I would stay 16 more years.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. And I think, that also, obviously, I mean, of course I'm going to say this, but it's absolutely true. Like that you have an incredibly positive reputation and obviously are very good to work with. So, clearly Jay and Darren, or, everybody wouldn't, if we don't want somebody to come back and they're not the best fit for something, then they wouldn't get hired again. So
Right.
I just think it speaks volumes. I mean, not to do an aside, but this is a bit of a celebration of your career. Talking to
Right.
you was an
I
excellent.
was
I mean, you've got
very
an excellent-
grateful.
you've got such a stellar reputation, and working with you, obviously, it's always positive. You got some personalities are more difficult. That's life too, right? Some people,
Yeah.
plus or minus, but then there's the people that always you're going to get a smile, you're going to get positivity, and and always and that's the reason I'm still here too, is people like you, that I know it's going to be a positive, fun experience. Get some
Right.
laughs in, have some fun at work. It is possible,
And
It
enjoy, right. Enjoy what you're doing.
Exactly, and enjoy the coworkers that you have. And so you brought that to the table, and I, again, that people like you are a reason I'm still here and will continue to be until I retire at some point. And so anyway, but I'm not done talking to you yet, Radie. I'm not done yet. So
Okay.
yeah, no, I'm not landing the plane yet. So I'm just throwing out a few compliments. Not quite there, but but I was curious, and anything else work-wise, and I am interested now, kind of shifting gears a little bit too into kind of things that you might do. But one other thing, and I didn't talk to you about this in advance, and we can kind of breeze past it. But I do know you had an incredibly serious, health. I want to call it a health scare, a major health impact, and certainly it wasn't thought that you would make it back to be talking to you today like we are.
Yes.
That was way off the table, let alone, and just hoping, anyway, life-threatening, health situation that I mean,
yes.
you've overcome so much. I'm sure I can't even begin to imagine, but that I remember so well.
I was working on a project, the fleet management project.
Oh,
and
yes,
we were
sure.
having to go out on Riverside
for
that. And I worked that Friday. And I think her name was Panima.
Panita, yes, Panita.
Panita, yeah, she and I were working on that. And that Friday I left work, and I went home, and my daughter and I were gonna go to Ghost Gym, and we were gonna start working out with the trainer. And I told her I was kind of tired because that week had been really busy, because we were trying to meet a deadline or something. And I'm like, okay, I promised her we'd go work out with the trainer. So went home, changed clothes, went to Ghost Gym on 183. And the trainer started with me, and my daughter was doing something else. And I got on the leg press machine, and when I went to get off the leg press machine, I collapsed. My daughter was like, Mom, wake up. Mom, get up. And a patron in the gym, she told her she's not breathing. And the patron started CPR on me. So they called the girl that was the trainer. She started screaming and didn't know what to do.
Sure.
And so the patron was doing CPR and they called 911. And so when they got there, the fire truck, I think my daughter said the fire truck got there first, and they shocked me. They shocked me 7 times.
Oh my.
And so I didn't know from that incident, I learned that they can't declare you dead. They can't stop CPR until you're pronounced.
Oh.
And so they had to keep, like I said, they shocked me with the paddle 7 times before they put me in the ambulance.
Oh.
And they took me to North Austin Medical. Well, it's St. David's now in Mopac. And when they got me there, the doctor says, we have a slight pulse. And they started working on me.
Oh.
And that was on 08/08/08, around 8:00 p.m.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Wow.
I was comatose for quite a while. They put me on ice. And when I woke up, I had a pacemaker defibrillator. And Darren always asked me, did I see anything or when I crossed over?
Question. Everybody wants to know that answer. Yes, sure.
Yeah.
So,
But I was down for about a month and I had to learn to walk. I took speech therapy and occupational therapy.
Yeah.
And all of that. So it was quite an ordeal.
that is.
But I'm still here.
Yes, and clearly, yeah. I mean, as good as ever. I mean, yeah. You didn't miss it. You didn't. Well, I would say you didn't miss a beat. As of now, it doesn't seem like you did. But obviously, yes, you're.
Yeah, I missed the beat.
Yeah, you literally missed a number of life beats. I mean, it's astounding to me.
What it was, they said it was cardiac arrest, that my heart just stopped. And I'm like, what caused it to just stop?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the doctor said that only 2% of people that have cardiac arrest, like mine, survive.
Oh my gosh.
So I was in that 2%. I'm like, oh,
yes. Yes. That is, I mean, what an astounding, comeback. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. And I remember that's kind of roughly my recollection of some of the stuff, but I wasn't even aware that that's a very interesting, that fortunately they couldn't declare you dead and kept working on you 7 times. I mean, as much as anybody wants to save a life and help, after a few times and that much time passing, you got to think this is a tragedy that just happened, but we can't work miracles here, and it's over. So
yeah,
it's unbelievable. I mean, basically you basically passed away and then came back. So you died and gone to heaven working at the comptroller's office, I guess.
Yeah.
That's how good it's been.
I came back.
It is. I mean, it's yeah. I've known lots of people in different crazy scenarios, but that's the worst and most severe for somebody to come back even and live, and not you let alone retrain yourself to walk and talk, and then come back and be a force at work after that. And like, you would never know, talking to you, you would never know, like,
No.
and so it's an astounding comeback. So anyway, it was worth a little bit of a sign, and I appreciate you sharing that.
That's my testimony, and I'm still here. So
it's amazing. It's amazing. So We are so
And
glad.
very, very happy that I'm still here.
Yes, yeah, everybody is, and especially you, I'm sure. I mean, it's astounding. What a story. Oh,
They gave me they put a pacemaker defibrillator in, and I've been shocked over the years 3 or 4 times. But
okay.
most of it was not from my heart stopping. A couple of times it was from the faulty wiring or something, but it wasn't my heart.
Let's see. Wow. Unbelievable. Astounding. So yeah, well, thank you for sharing all that. I mean, again,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I'll just leave it at that. I could say that for an hour.
But you know what, Vince? One of the other things that's wonderful about working in CPA, especially during that time, my coworkers were so wonderful. You guys were they took up money. My husband talks about how much Darren helped him and supported him during that time, just to call and say, how are you doing? Do you need anything? And helping him with FMLA. They donated to the sick leave pool for me. So we didn't have to lose much money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it was just awesome how the
Yeah.
CPA family pulled together. And that's another reason for being there that long, because it's a family. It's not, I think the pandemic kind of separated us somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're not together as much. But man, during that time, it was really, they were really caring and really helped my family and supported us a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm forever eternally grateful.
That's wonderful. Yep, that is. I mean, it is a family, and I feel that same way. And hopefully, most people hopefully don't have to go through what you went through to see proof. But
Yeah.
but I know it's the case. I mean, I have no question. Any of my coworkers, like everybody would be more than willing to help out, and it's a little different, and that's part of the beauty maybe of working for the state as well. Versus some of these other companies where you can make more money, you can jump around different jobs, and but it's I don't know. I like the aspect of knowing my coworkers, and yeah, again, they are your family. You spend more time with them than your
That's
quote unquote
true.
right? So you better like them. Yes, but I do. That's why I'm doing these. I've enjoyed working with everybody. So before we tie things up, but. So I guess what now? I mean, you've had such an amazing career here, but you got you still look amazing. You're totally like you look like you're ready to conquer the world in some other capacity if you so choose. But what does life kind of look like now? What are you looking forward to? Family and everything.
Grandbabies and traveling. We want to take some road trips, because we've never done that. And my daughter she has 3 girls, and then she has 2 bonus kids. So I've got 2 bonus grandbabies. And then my son is in Atlanta, and he has 2 girls. And so they're like, Nana, we want to come to your house. Like, okay. But we're not going to get stuck babysitting all the time, because we want to travel, but we want to spend a lot of time with the kids.
Oh, that sounds
and
wonderful.
Enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds wonderful. Yeah, I love a good road trip as well. And so get out there and do lots of them. And see this country. It's a great one. And once you can slow down some, that's a perfect role as well. You can pop in, you can help some with the grandbabies, spoil them and everything. And then on your way to your next destination. There you go. Give them back. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, I have my youngest, she's 16 months. And so she FaceTimes with me every day. See, thank God for technology.
Well, yeah, it's amazing. We can do that.
And so when I call and I'm not FaceTime, she's like looking at the phone like, wait, where's Nana? Because she wants to see my face.
Aww.
That's funny. funny though.
Well, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. All right. Well, I've pretty much reached the end of the questions I wanted to ask, but just anything else that you wanted to share? Anyone, again, there may be people watching this in the future at some point. I hope so. Any other words of wisdom, anything else you wanted to share before we kind of wrap it up?
No, it's just a great place to work, great people to work with, but so many changes are coming about. So we just have to be able to roll with the changes and accept the changes. Sometimes that's hard.
Oh, it is. It is. But,
Can't imagine what another 20 years will be like.
I don't know.
We'll be like the Jetsons or something.
Yes, I mean, yeah, park your car on top of the building and just fly on over. But we're getting there. We're getting closer. It's not quite there, but who knows? But as much as things change, also a lot of things stay the same. So, I'm open for a nice balance myself as I continue on into the journey. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's great. Again, well, I guess we'll kind of wrap it up then. Radie, this has been a lot of fun getting to chat with you. And it's been an honor working with you. And fantastic. Again, there's people you just know, you see them in the hall, maybe, and again with COVID, you don't see somebody for a year sometimes or something, but guaranteed, like that's going to be a friend that you're happy to see and catch up. And if you had, some crazy work problem or whatever, that person's going to be
you can call, yeah.
So that's you and many of the other employees at CPA. But
well, thank you for doing this. This is
absolutely.
It really brought back memories too.
Yes,
thank you.
Sure. Walk down memory lane. All right. Well,
all right.
Stop the recording here. And thank you, Radie, so much.
Thank you.
This has been really fun. All right.